Dame Lisa Carrington.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm back.
To Between Two Beers. Last time we had you on was nearly 2 years ago. You done anything since then?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I've been around the world. Did a few races in Paris. Yeah.
Bit of paddling.
Bit of paddling.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
One other question, we didn't have it on our list, but did you train? Have you trained today? Have you? What are you doing at the moment?
I went for a ski paddle this morning and we saw dolphins.
Did you?
So that was a real treat.
Where was
So just off Campbell's Bay Beach, Takapuna, around there. Yeah, it's amazing.
Sounds good.
It was it was cold though. So to brave the elements, we got to see dolphins.
I've heard one of our most prominent sports people say sometimes when you don't want to do it, you just still got to do it. So out you were,
Yeah,
practicing what you preach.
During our first episode with you, we asked about the Halberg Award kick-ons, which led to us getting involved and presenting New Zealand's favourite sporting moment and doing some stuff on the red carpet. And we saw you there, but were told not to bother you because you weren't doing media, and you just rolled in before the event started through a side door, and it was very baller. But did you just not want to have to deal with our painful red carpet questions?
Yeah, your chat. Yeah.
Shit chat. It was real entourage though. Like you guys came in late and hard and like side door straight into your table.
Yeah. I think at that point we were still really looking after ourselves around COVID and getting sick and that type of thing. And we had to leave. I think we had trials not that long after. So there was, I look back and it's like, it's pretty strict, but in a way that's how we could enjoy the evening. Yeah.
Do you remember like at the end of the night after you'd won your, I don't know what number, Supreme Award, you were getting the photo and we were sort of like just a couple of dorks in the back going, hey, kick-ons? It was really painful now that I think back about it. There were no kick-ons again.
We did not kick on. We drove back to Hamilton, but there is talk of official kick-ons.
Yeah.
Maybe I've said too much. But
maybe you have. Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. If you're not training, maybe
we could put you on. We could put you on the list.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bucky can bring his short pants again, or whatever he wanted.
Yeah, that's a good seg actually, because the first topic I have on my list is Bucky chat, and I've had a couple of good conversations with Bucky in prep for both of these episodes, and we've got a bit of bants going on now, but. Actually, a really nice place to start is talking about how nervous he gets before your races. I just think it's such a good sign of a healthy relationship, like how invested he is in it.
Yeah.
So can you talk about like how you guys communicate on like race day and race week and what that dynamic looks like?
Lack of communication, maybe?
Yeah.
No. I think it probably depends. It has depended on year, and I think in Paris this year it was because he was with me for those kind of almost 4 months leading into the games. My biggest thing was to make sure I connected with him every morning. So I'd get up, do a bit of journaling, and then I'd make him a coffee with me, and then we'd just have a chat and connect. And so I guess while I was at Paris, he wasn't there. It was just the teammates. It was all our canoe racing team. So I think for me, I was like, oh, actually, I need to keep this up. It's so important for me to just not stay so within myself, making my own coffee, journaling by myself. It's actually my biggest thing was actually to connect outside of me, that it's not all about me. So I actually don't really remember how I communicate with him. It wasn't a lot. Like it might have been maybe after one of the days we won, it would have been in the evening. But little bits, right?
So you're telling us he wasn't spewing behind the stands like he was in London 2012?
It wasn't due to anything else, was it? No, I have no idea. So I guess I have no idea how nervous he gets, but I can imagine, that he would worry a lot.
Well, like as a viewing public, like I was nervous way back here in New Zealand for some of your races. I can't imagine how much more it is when you're directly connected with that person.
And you've seen all of the work, which we're going to talk to that went into it, right?
Yeah.
You know how hard someone has worked to get where they are.
Yeah, and I think too, like, I guess that's something that I will never quite understand is maybe one day is just watching someone else and knowing what it takes. Because I think in those moments, it does become all about the people you're with. And I guess it's hard, right? He's got no control over the performance, anything. He wouldn't know how I was feeling. Maybe Gordy gives him a little message or calls him, lets him know what I'm up to, and maybe that's how we communicate.
Through an intermediary.
Yeah.
We all need one of those.
Every good relationship needs needs someone to help mediate those conversations.
Right, we're going to get into more detailed thought stuff, but still in our Bucky section. I was talking to him and he said you went for a paddle together recently, and I asked if he ever challenged you to a sprint. And like, does he ever just fancy, just like to see how we would compare? And he said in the early days he thought he might have had a shot, but he never lined up against you. But he did say that he ended up racing one of your teammates,
Yes.
which was Alicia.
Yeah.
And so Bucky has a background in the water, right? He's like a world champion lifesaver. And I think, perhaps Alicia didn't know his background to start with. And anyway, they got talking about a race and they had some bets on the line. Can you tell us about what that was?
Yeah, so it was really great. I guess this was one of the first trips Bucky had come on with this team, with these, with our K4, with Liv, Tara and Alicia. And so I think this might have been last year. And, I was like, Bucky's coming down. He's going to come for a paddle. And Alicia, she's so competitive. She's like, oh, yeah, we're doing 50-metre sprints. Do you want to have a go? And so Bucky's like, yep, all right, here we go. And like, okay, what's on the line? Bucky's like, yeah, I need to get a haircut. And then he goes to Alicia, all right, if you get to shave my hair, I get to cut your ponytail off. And she lost it. So it was amazing, like watching, she had to talk to Gordy about it. Like, it got really serious. And I think it might have been Bucky's second session or, paddle that he'd done, maybe even the first. And I think she got so worried about her ponytail being cut off that she paddled the fastest she'd paddled that year. So he really contributed to the performance.
That's what they said, the fastest ever time. Like, wow.
Yeah, but it was surprising. Even I was surprised. I was like, oh, he wasn't even that far behind. I was like, oh, watch out, other girls. Who's coming? Yeah. So then we teased the girls this year. I was like, who's up next? Get them going.
Yeah. Alicia also said you got involved in some of your spike ball games while you were on tour as well.
Yeah, you got involved in. I may have said to him, I didn't think you were. I didn't realise you were that good. Like I thought you were unco. It may have offended him a little bit. Yeah, so we get into some good spike ball before gym, before getting on the water. Yeah,
Have you ever played spike ball?
No.
It is the kind of game like. It has the potential for you really to start throwing yourself around as well. Like, do you have to play within yourself? I imagine you and your teammates would be quite competitive. Like Bucky would be able to go everywhere, but do you have to hold back?
We make sure that there's no kind of divots in the ground. First of all, no, we go pretty hard. Yeah, but you've also got to have the skill to hit the net. Yeah. So you got to balance. If you go too hard, you miss the net. So. But we're very competitive and it can get a little personal sometimes, but it's a great way to remind yourself it's just a game.
Yeah, it's like a little mini tramp in the middle and you like whack a ball and you've got to move around. But
it's not just for kids.
Yeah,
I believe you.
I've thrown myself around playing it. And,
see that. Yeah. I would like to see that. For the record, Bucky said he can still beat you in swimming and table tennis, but he does concede that you would beat him in the sprint.
Accurate.
Yeah, like we recently bought a table tennis table, and so we had a few games, and I can't believe how angry I get when I start losing, and he's just kind of happy. But then I got really close to him once, but I'll practice without him so he doesn't get any better.
Love it. You've kind of alluded to this, but I want to flesh it out a little bit. So I asked him for like interesting, fun behind the scenes stories. And he said, one great thing that happened in France in the build-up was after Lisa had one of those deep convos with David Galbraith, and he was trying to get her to think about connection with people or looking to serve others before yourself. And his solution for her was in the morning, rather than waking up and making herself a coffee, she had to wake up and make me a coffee. So that was something I enjoyed for a good 2 months overseas. And then he says, so the first thing she had to do in the morning was wake up, make me a coffee. And of course, one morning, DG is on the phone to me because we'd catch up as well. And I don't know if he said it to her, but in his quirky sort of mind and state, he referenced the famous "Once Were Warriors" line. Make that man a friggin' coffee.
That's not the line.
I've bottled it. Dame Lisa, I can't swear.
No, don't. Before we go back to that Once Were Warriors line, you were talking about Dame Lisa being this holier than thou character. Yeah. Again, my little spy on the inside of your team suggests that you know all of the lyrics, the questionable lyrics as well, to some of the rap songs on your clanging and banging playlist. Is that right? And you don't self-censor when you're singing along.
No.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I think I thought about this, and I wonder where you get your music influence from. And I think it was from my older brother. I remember being maybe 10 or 11. He would have been about 14 or 15, and he bought Eminem's latest, album, and we were listening to it. Yeah. And it was, I think, when you have older siblings that are right into hip hop and rap, I think it just has never left me.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Dad snapped the CD because it was...
There's some tough stuff on. If you listen back to Eminem now, there's some tough stuff. But is it millennials, or they when they listen back to it now and they're just horrified by some of this?
I'm a millennial. You
must be. Or the other one. Anyway, back to the.
We've got Dame Lisa in studio. Yeah,
back to the coffee.
Back to the coffee. No, tell me about the concept. What is the concept there? Serving someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I got to a stage where, making my own coffee and journaling myself, it becomes kind of a I wouldn't say selfish, or it's more self-centered in a way that I'm just reflecting on my own. I look after myself. And at that point, it was really important for me to start to think that it's not about me. It's about reaching out. It's about connecting outside of myself. So the smallest thing to do every day was just to make sure that I looked after someone else first. And being under quite a bit of pressure, and especially leading into the games, it was so important for me to, and I would always self-protect. So it's like, okay, look after myself. I need to make sure that this morning I need to journal, stay really within myself and write down everything in my head. Where I think at that stage, it's well, actually, that's not helpful anymore. You need to look outside of that. Yes, journal, yes, sieve through my thoughts. But the hardest thing for me to do at that moment was actually to see someone else, to connect, to hear them, to share what was going on for me. And so that was a really small step in the day to slow down and go, not rush, and do something for him, which really helped in my process of just waking up. Slow down, Lisa. You don't need to be perfect. Just make a coffee for Bucky and, journal, but in a way, journal with him. Yeah, so it was awesome to have him there.
Yeah, did that little, man, DG's a genius sometimes, eh? I'm just thinking about that. But did that gesture sort of start opening up other areas and other kind of thoughts of you and how you interacted with your team and your teammates as well?
Yeah, so I think, and I guess what it all ends for me at this point, because I was, under so much pressure, I needed to keep reaching out, and I needed to be able to be unfiltered, to be myself. And so that was the smallest step: connect with Bucky. Next step, connect with Gordy. Next step, connect with the girls. And for me, seeing them, looking them in the eyes, opening up, it just is amazing how important the relationship is between two people. And so, that was really important for me to do that with Bucky, make him a coffee. Obviously, he loved it. And I'm still doing it now. Sometimes I forget and he reminds me. But also, like, I was like, Gordy, look, I also need to make sure that we interact as soon as we, you know, we're all staying in the same accommodation. You know, as we get down to the sheds or the boats, it's like, hey, Gordy, good morning. How are you today? Not like, what's next? Or what are we doing on the water? Because I think in those moments, you're just like, I need to survive. I need to be my best. I need to be perfect. So what's the next step? Instead of just, okay, let's take a breath. Where are we at? And so, yeah, for me, it was just so important to keep reaching out because I kept closing in. Yeah.
Is that very different from the previous campaigns?
I'm not sure. I think I have a natural kind of sense of looking after, protecting myself, not letting people see the imperfections or them judging me. So that was really, I think with the immense pressure of this Paris, I think that was the thing that was holding me back. So by just letting the girls see when, you know, you say, you know, Dame Lisa, it's like, well, actually remove the title, it's just Lisa.
Yeah.
You know, like, and the more in my mind that I build up the ego or the layer of like, I need to be perfect, this is who I need to be, you just layer them on and on and on. And I think it doesn't help being successful or being in media or people being really nice. Like it's fine, but also I have to constantly be, you don't need to be perfect. Like it's okay for people to judge you.
Can I remove the title too? Because I always get in trouble when I don't say Dame Lisa.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah.
No, you have to keep with that because you fucked that up the first time. I can go with Lisa or Carrington or anything. I'm chill.
Just the last part of Bucky chat. So I was interested to hear that DJ and Dave Galbraith is such a hero of our listeners. People love the way he thinks, the episode with him, and he's been involved with so many athletes we've spoken to. But him talking to Bucky as well, is that because Bucky is part of your team? Is that helping him with his own thing, or is that to help get his mind right to support you?
I don't know. Yeah, I think I guess from a sense, like it was really important that the support that I got was really aligned, and, you know, he would talk with Bucky and Gordy. And so I guess those are the, you know, people that are really helping me be myself. And so I guess it's just complete alignment along what's important. And also, like, I guess because I'm not the best sharer, it can be really hard for Bucky when I've had this great conversation with DG and then I've expected that Bucky knows exactly what we've spoken about and I jump straight into the next thing. And he's like, well, what just happened? You've just left me behind there. Yeah. So, yeah, and also just how he can support me. And also, like, I think there's obviously parts there that will be supporting Bucky as well. Yeah, but I wasn't a part of those conversations.
Yeah, the decision on your future, and I'm not asking you what the decision is, but Bucky is obviously a big part of that. Do you set aside certain times to talk about it, or is it kind of just like an ever-present part of, you know, every day? Yeah.
I think we definitely, like, I'm not, like I said, I'm not the perfect communicator. And so it's been really good at the moment, not having training, not striving for any goals, nothing really distracting me or taking any energy away. So it's been a really good time to kind of have, like, nut out some good conversations. So I think prior, we had to make the time. And at the moment, I guess Bucky's still, you know, we've just made a lot of time to be able to spend time with each other at the moment because it's been pretty tough the last, I don't know how long, many years.
Yeah, well, when we spoke to you last, you were right in the middle, I guess, of two cycles between Tokyo and Paris.
Yeah.
you seem a very different Lisa to the one that we spoke to. Yeah, you do. You definitely do. And as we'll, what was that, man?
Yeah, definitely.
I was just saying, yeah.
That was just a loud.
I was saying, yeah, it's going good. It's going good.
Just a loud. That was just a loud noise. That was great. But and as we'll get to, I think it came across definitely from a punter sitting on the other side of the world, observing you. It definitely looked that way.
Yeah, I think, I grow all the time, and with our team, I started to realize what or where I could grow. And for me, it was actually about being more myself, sharing. I don't know if it's sharing, but it's actually just not being afraid to be me. And the more I could do that, the more I stopped questioning myself, worrying what people think. I still do, don't get me wrong, but there was just a moment where I'm like, well, actually, it's way better for my teammates when I'm just me and I'm not worried about what they think. You just look after each other, and you create a space where when you stop worrying about the judgment, I think that's when you start accepting yourself a lot more, and then you inherently accept everyone else.
Well, you've come to the right place to be yourself and to share, because we have got some stuff to talk about. Okay, so I'm keen to pick up the chat pre-Olympics, and we've heard you had some really special sessions in the lead up to the Games. Now, this info has come from a very, very well-placed authority and maybe a Between Two Beers exclusive, but just how fast were some of those times in the sessions before Paris?
Is this... Yeah, really fast.
How fast?
Is this from Gordy?
It's come from Gordy.
Yeah. Does he want me to share
and Bucky
it?
signed off on it too.
Yeah, I mean, you can't break world records in training, but, by going 3 seconds faster than the world record in training gives you a lot of confidence.
3 seconds?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, what does it feel like when you go faster than a world record in a training setting?
I think, I guess the reason why we started to, the thing is I'd never had done time trials like I had been doing before Paris. And I think in good reason. They're pretty taxing. They take away from a session that you could possibly do. And so we then, between the 10 weeks between the end of the World Cups that we just raced and the Paris Olympics, we'd done 10 time trials over the K4, the K2 and the K1. And so I think you have no idea what time you're doing because it all hurts.
Yeah, you spoke about the hurt locker, I think, the first time we spoke.
Yeah, so but what was amazing is I started to go, wow, there was this specific time that I always wanted to do in the 500 meters in the K1. And then I was like, oh, maybe I just can't. And Gordy's like, yes, you can. I know you can. You can go faster than the time that you think you can do. I'm like, oh, but it's just not happening. But in the same, you just don't give yourself the opportunities, particularly when you're racing. So then learning about taking on the pressure of a time trial, the expectation, focusing on the task, I think I started to become more and more confident. And it was just strange, right? Like how much more confident can you get? But it's all about the strategy, taking the right strokes, focusing on the right things, the technique. When it starts getting hard, what do you do? How hard do you go? All these things. And I think by the end, it was just so amazing to have done and gone through the challenge of really understanding what that race was going to be like. And particularly because I was doing 3 events. And they all required different things. So really the task was massive. So it meant that I had to drill down exactly what I needed to do. And so when I think, arriving at Paris, knowing I'd gone really fast, I think I wasn't questioning myself. I was just like, okay, let's just, as long as I just focus on the job and enjoy it, it's going to be what it's going to be.
When you break the world record by 3 seconds in training and you get that information relayed to you, I'm not sure if you're in the boat or you're on shore at that point, like, what happened? Are you celebrating as a team? Are you taking a moment to appreciate what you've done, or do you kind of just like park it and get on with it?
Balance, I think. It's like, wow. I don't think Gordy told me until a few days later. Probably because he's
How
like,
do you sit on that? How do you sit on that information, Gordy?
or and I also, there's also that feeling, I'm like, man, I just don't want to know because I don't want to know if it's bad. But I think that's what I learnt when we were doing these time trials. It's like, you know what, whether it's bad or good, you just got to do the practice anyway. You got to try. So receiving feedback, if it's bad or if the time isn't great, it's not that it's bad. It's like you're doing this to learn. So it's convincing myself every time we line up, it's like there's no bad outcome here. You just need to go as hard as you can and not be afraid of, you know, and also not attaching the time to your identity and who you are, which as athletes, and I'm sure many people find it's what we do in the end, you know.
And was it just you, or was it you plus the team also smashing these pretty impressive times?
Yeah. I mean, yes, we did. I did a few more than the other, you know, than in the K1 than I did in the K2 and K4. But yeah, we were doing pretty well. In the K4, it was pretty good. The K2 was going awesome as well. But yeah, I probably didn't make as much. Yeah.
Didn't have the others slowing me down.
No way. No, I think it comes down to conditioning.
Sorry, I didn't mean that.
How dare you?
I didn't mean that.
I'm here to protect them. No, they
Yeah,
didn't.
exactly.
I love your reaction when I'm bringing that up. Like, oh, am I allowed to?
Yeah.
So, just so you know, Gordy has given us this information and he said it would be good for you to share it. I'm not putting any pressure on you, but there's another part to it too. And he said, we've also heard that you had a couple of not so good sessions or a couple of accidents, close calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the time where I had to pull off to the side and...
I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know what it is. That's the only information we've got.
Excellent.
See what she says. It could be a laugh.
I'm assuming.
Sounds like you shit yourself in the boat to me.
Yeah, so we were kind of about, I don't know, we might have been about 10 days out or, you know, 2 weeks out from Paris, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, okay, I need to go to the bathroom, number 2s.
I was right.
Yeah. Killed the punchline.
Yeah. And then, okay, maybe like a couple hours later, again, hour later, again and again. I was like, oh man, and I didn't feel good. And we had a key session in the morning. So I was like, man, I've had not a lot of sleep. I really wanted to do this session. I know how important it is to my performance. And so I was like, Gordy, look, I've been, you know, on the toilet for half the night, but like I just don't know what to do because I feel that if I don't do it, I'm being a pussy. If I do it, I might be, you know, I could be unwell and make it worse. And so he's like, okay, just leave it for a few hours and just see how you are. So, you know, talk to the doc. He was kind of like, well, the worst thing you could do is just not replace what you're losing. So really it was about energy. And I think I felt okay. But really deep down I was like, I think I can do it, but what if I end up making it worse? And so, you know, that dilemma was kind of happening and, you know, still felt a bit sick, still kept going to the bathroom a bit, got less and less. So we like sat down at maybe 10 a.m. and Gordy's like, okay, why don't we just go, do you want to do this? Like, does it actually matter? And I was like, not really. Like, we don't have to do this session. We can make it up somewhere else. And I was like, actually, why don't we just give it a go? Like, see, we'll just do one set, maybe. I think one set was like 3 minutes long or something like that. Yeah, 4 minutes. So went down to the lake, doing warm up, 30 minutes into the warm up. I was like, oh, I've got to go. So I pulled off to the side and had to get out and I had to go. And I was like, it's okay, but I feel okay. Get back in. I started the session and we're like, whoa, that was really good. That first set went really well. This is on. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then paddling a bit, oh my gosh, need to go again. Luckily, the club was close, went up to the club, got back in my boat, and then started the session again, started the piece. I'm like, wow, that's another really good set. Oh no, need to go again. Paddled back to the club, went in, yeah. And so I did that every time. And I couldn't believe that I was doing it. And I was like, I don't know if I can do one more set. And by the end, it was unreal. It was like I stopped caring about the outcome and was like, well, I know that I can't blow myself out here. I can't just go all in. So what am I going to do to survive this session? But just get it done. And through that, I learned how to paddle better. My technique improved. I was like, I suddenly unleashed this like thing that I was trying to do for so long, with just trusting in my fitness. And I did it, and it didn't impact I just couldn't believe it. It didn't impact my ability to recover. I was fine. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you just get this bug for like 24 hours or 12 hours, whatever it was, and it really only impacts you if you don't eat properly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, before that, I was like, what if I stuff myself for the Olympics? But I guess when you're right in it, blinkers on, people are like, oh, Lisa, just be careful. Gordy's like, well, it's up to you, but you can probably do it. Yeah. And I was, it's strange. I mean, I wouldn't go tell someone else to do that. But what I learned there, I was like, man, we're actually way more capable than we give ourselves credit for. I can't believe I'm pretty careful. And yeah, I was like, man, I just did one of my best sessions I've ever done with the shits.
Yeah, like I guess like you're doing world record times. Like that is a really happy accident around what happens if at the games the night before, like to have that confidence, having actually physically done it, to know, well, I can be shitting myself in the boat and still perform.
Yeah, and I think what I was learning, and it's like such a mental thing, is that like what's distracting you in that moment? I was like, well, the thing that's distracting me is that I'm worried that, I might shit myself. But also like, what if it makes me worse? But the docs reckon it won't. Unless, I just got to hydrate, eat, it's fine. And so it was that I just had to turn down and go, you know what, Lisa, just paddle. And so really it was just amazing to be able to do that and know, exactly what you said, that if something goes wrong at the games, it's like, well it's a distraction. Like you can do it if you really want to. Yeah.
So that was framed to us as could be a laugh, but that's an exceptionally good insight into the mind of a world champion.
Yeah, again.
Unreal. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. That was so good. Okay, Paris 2024, you win 3 gold medals in 3 days in the K1, K2 and K4. And we're going after the detail here. Take us to the start. Like, tell us how you're approaching the whole regatta and perhaps why this one is a bit different.
Yeah. I think I'd got to a point and worked really hard to kind of be so open to the world, to my team, that working on that, and being imperfect is fine. Like, failing is fine. That when we got to Paris, I kind of was like, well, man, we're here. We've worked this hard. Let's just do it. Let's just enjoy it. And nothing is too difficult. So, I think when you get nervous sometimes, like, oh, do I have to go back down to the lake? Do I have to do this? Suddenly I start trying to look after my energy, all this energy, even though I'm not training as much. Like everything is about protecting and making sure it goes right. But I think what happened, it was like, you know what? No, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we have the best performances. And so turning up, it was like, what do I need? Who do I need to be today? And I was like, you know what? I need to be the best teammate today. So 100% open to the girls, give them a big hug in the morning. You know what? I can't wait to do this with you. this is so epic. We're finally here. We've worked really hard for this. And I can't wait. We know exactly what to do. I can't wait to get out there. So having that attitude of this is freaking awesome, living a dream, it's so, like this will be gone in a second, kind of all those things that, you know, bring me to embracing the moment. And like it's actually so difficult to prep your mind into that place when you're shit scared. I'm like, man, we might not do this. But you kind of got to, turn down the volume of what if and the worry and the fear to, but what can we do? You know what? The most important thing is leaning on the team, opening up, loving them, caring, giving them a big hug, you know, and it's amazing what you get back from that.
Did you start every day with a karakia at the lake?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So, and a part of being in the team, you know, like we had rituals that really helped us when for us, getting 4 people on the same page was always really tricky, especially when you've got to do exactly the same stroke, like telepathically down the course. So we started each day with a karakia. We go down to the water on the jetty, and really the karakia would just talk to us being a 4-plat, you know, any rope that's holding your pounamu will probably be a 4-plat. How that is, the tighter that 4-plat is, the stronger it is. So that's kind of how we saw ourselves. The more connected we were, the stronger we were, and the more challenge we could take on.
That's so good. So I spoke to Gordy, and I want to break these down. I'm going to do the K4 first. So Gordy on the K4 win said, I think it's hard to overstate it because the K4 has been in the Olympics since 1984 and no nation has beaten Germany or Hungary at the Olympics in the K4 except the first year when there was a boycott by those 2 nations. So basically, ever since it's been a thing, no nation has beaten Germany or Hungary at the Olympics. So for us to beat them is amazing. And I guess New Zealand understands rugby, so it's an easy one to put into a rugby analogy. Hungary and Germany are the New Zealand and South Africa of rugby. And we're a small nation. So for us to compete against them, it's unbelievable, let alone winning. The only way that they did that was just an incredible, incredible amount of work. Olympic gold medals are ridiculously hard to win. 10,000 people go there, 312 are handed out. Lisa got 3 of them. It's just so rare. But to win a team medal is even rarer. Very, very hard to do. We didn't really have any right winning that thing other than by working fucking hard. There are just so many great stories in there that are nice to hear, but also great for people to take into their own lives. So tell us about the K4.
It's really nice. Yeah. So much learning, I think. You know, we, like Gordy said, we have not got the history like those other countries, those other European countries. But I think looking back, when we first started attempting the K4, really, and starting to do well, and this would have been 6 or 7 years ago, you know, you'd witness the countries that won, Hungary and Germany, and when they crossed the line, how much it meant to them. You're like, there's a reason why there's so much history. Why do they celebrate that hard when they cross the line? And so, like, it turns out you know, and looking at you like, man, it means so much to them. We've got to, if we want to win, it's got to mean that much to us. And so I think working with the girls, you know, developing such young athletes, and constantly pushing our own beliefs and mental models around what it takes to be like a good person or a good teammate, how we need to push ourselves physically, but it turns out when you push yourself mentally, you let go a whole lot. And what I got to see in the girls is they became, when we figured out what we really wanted to achieve, it took a long time for us to believe that we could win a gold medal. I don't know if we believed it until we won it. Yeah. But we put it out there and it took a little while. And once we started, you know, working really hard on what is it going to take? What does it mean? And so we started, you know, you start trimming the fat, you stop doing things that don't matter. The training becomes clear. You do exactly what you need to do. There's no wasted moments. And I think when we become all aligned on the vision, the way we talk to each other, what a team means, how to technically paddle better, what we individually can do for each other to make each other better, all the little pieces really, I don't know, just really helped us start trusting and feeling, really comfortable in the environment and we then could be challenged to be like, actually, one big thing for us was timing. It seems really obvious when you're paddling a K4 and you've got to do it all in the same time. And, there's moments where people are like, no, but stop picking on me, I'm in time. It's like, well, no, there's so many strokes you have to do and it's hard to be in time. So if you adjust your stroke this way, you'll do it better for the team. So when we got the idea of, it's not for me, it's not about me, it's about making the boat go faster. And I want to help the person in front of me and behind me. Yeah.
Alicia spoke to energy forward, energy backward. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know what she might have meant by that.
Well, it was to paraphrase it, was you're at the front of the boat.
Oh, yeah.
So you set the tone almost.
Yeah.
And for I think for her, maybe in the K2 more than the K4, like just that confidence of you being back there and knowing that if they, and it's almost what you're speaking to now, but if they do their job, it makes you a better paddler.
Yeah.
And by you doing your job, it makes them a better paddler.
Yeah.
So like you're just working in sync that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that was constantly it. So the less I could worry about whether the girls were doing what they needed to do, and the more that I could just be like, what, I'm going to do my job and trust that you guys are just going to be there. It's amazing that when you trust each other and you trust yourself, how much better we all go together. And so, and we all have elements in the boat where, what we bring. So for me, for Alicia and I, a lot of it was around me just putting my ears back and go, and she just locked in and followed me down the course. And I just trusted that she would be there even if I made a mistake. And the fact too that if she made a mistake, I wouldn't worry. Like we had a really cool moment when we were racing at the World Cups this year, and it was just in a heat, and she missed the first stroke, and we're like, oh well, we still got to go, come on. And so I think she got a little bit ruffled and then got straight back in, and she's like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I was like, Alicia, don't worry about it. Like that was a heat, it's practice. And you know what? I'm going to go anyway. Like the gun's gone. We can't worry about that stroke we missed. So what was awesome is just learning it. It's like, you know what? Even in those moments, we've still got it. We've just all just got to go.
I like how the team concept went through all of the different events. And I want to read what Gordy said about the K. I'll move to the K1 win now. He said, we had the idea that the team was going to win the K1. Obviously, Lisa's the only one that can do it for the team. Like only one person can step up and take a kick to win the World Cup. But the team's got to get the penalty in the first place, right? So that was the narrative that we tried to have in the back of our minds. So she doesn't have multiple narratives, but she does have to know how to play three sports at the same time. Like there's three different race strategies, three different feelings when you're paddling the boat. There's one, you've got to do it until you're on your own. One's a relationship with another person. The other one's a team. So it's complex, but the headline principle was team. So can you tell us about that, how the team was all involved even in the K1?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot harder to, it was a theory that we thought, you know what if we believe that the K1 is a team event? And I think we just kept working together on what that meant. And yes, there's only one person that could do it, and it was like, for me, it was like, I've been given the task. That's my task. But we as a team need to support. I'm doing it for the team and the team are doing it for me. So I guess what was amazing is that we could go through the K4 being the team event to then dropping down to the K2 being the relationship, and then the K1. And so the way that the girls supported me in such an authentic way, I guess it's so hard being the person that is doing the event And, you know, I don't know what they're going through. I actually think that they were, like, you know, everyone else really, really nervous. Like, they couldn't control anything. They had to be super calm. And so I think that they just wanted for me just to do a good job. And the team, I think, in that was, we were out there, they just wanted me to, do the best that I could do. And I probably didn't really understand it until I'd finished and crossed the line, and I was like, wow, I can't believe we won 3 gold medals. Yeah. And then I went to the jetty, and there's Alicia running at me. She's bawling her eyes out, same as Olivia. Tara's like in the back running. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that these girls want, like, how much pride they have for a race that I did on my own. And I was like, that is team. Like, that's them not needing to be at the front row, needing to be at the, right in the front with all the spotlight. And I was like, man, that means that they are such special girls to be able to feel and be connected to that performance, because absolutely through the week, we needed to follow the plan exactly the way it needed to go. Everyone needed to do their job for it to work out the way it did. Because if I went too hard in one race, it would impact the next race. So really every race, K4, K2 and K1, was really to help the whole week. Yeah.
If the teammates were nervous, Gordy certainly wasn't. He said that he spoke about your state at the start line of the K1 race, and I think he said something like, you could have raced every other person of all time and they couldn't have beaten her on that day. You were just zoned in.
Yeah.
Accurate?
Yeah, it was crazy. I think I was the most relaxed, the least, like, I was nervous and everything, but I think I'd managed to get myself to a place that I was like not going to let the worry, the fear, like, take over for me for that day. And sometimes you can use that fear, but I was completely kind of like, I want to say at peace, but also just like, man, this is cool. I want to go out there. I was stepping into it, and I know how hard it is to get to that place, and I was just so proud I could do it. And yeah, it's just incredible. I thought, even in that week, I thought, you know what, as a team, we've already won before we, won any of these medals, because the way that we are together, we're like a little gang, looking after each other, like, I don't know, kids in the playground, like, yeah. We were really supportive, and I was like, this is actually the work that we've been working so hard for, is to be in this moment, be 100% together, and I was like, yeah, we've won before we've even got out there. Whatever races, whatever the result is, it will be what it will be.
Because the actual manifestation of the win really came to the fore after the K1, and I asked Alicia about what it was like, and because you do the 4, you win gold, yeah. And it was like, acknowledge, but we've still got a job to do.
Yeah. Like
the 2 dropped off and supported the 2 of you in the K2.
Yeah.
You win, and then Alicia drops off and supports you in the K1. Like, they were doing the warm-ups with you, doing the activations with you. Like,
yeah.
You were that little clique moving through the playground together the whole time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was like, I think it was just supporting. So, Liv she was running us through our activations, our stretches, our core work before we got on the water. Alicia, I think she needed something to do on the K1 day, so she was doing all the warm-ups with me to keep herself busy. So yeah, it was amazing. Like, and from my point of view, it just meant I didn't have to think. I was just like, okay, next thing. Liv was like, Lisa, you've got to do this now. Okay, cool. And so I guess I felt, and that it was just so nice to not have to be like, okay, what time do I have to start stretching or warming up or these types of things, and also not to have that inkling. It's like, oh, where are the girls? Where have they gone? They're there floating around, like kind of hovering in a weird way, but when you've spent so much time together, it was just so normal. It was great. And
then you do win. You have the celebration on the jetty, which for me was the best. Like, that was a moment of the Olympics. But then, like, contrast to Tokyo, you've got a whole band of supporters there with you that can celebrate with you as well. Like, was it only at that moment that you finally realised the magnitude of like what the week had looked like?
Yeah, I guess I was finally able to celebrate it, more let it in. And I think actually that was what was really different about other events and Olympics, is that this time I wasn't as worried about celebrating, stopping, moving on. And so, you know, like, what the most amazing thing for me was winning the K4 was looking at the girls who, you know, the Germans and the Hungarians who got silver and bronze. They were stoked. Like, to be on a podium with 12 women, just absolutely stoked to be there and have done it for their country, compared to, when you're on your own and you're up there, it's really special. But when you get to share it, like, it's a special event to be able to be on the line with that many women, and just go for it. And then, you know, there's only a few people that get to do it, and how special it is for you to be able to share it with them too. So to have that experience was also really awesome.
You used the term "at peace" before, and Shay drew my attention to an interview you did with Chris Chang on TVNZ afterwards. And he's like, I can't really describe it, but it just was like, and I think "at peace" is a good summary. Like, it was just, you know, you'd just done it and you were just in it. Do you remember? Do you remember the interviews?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like, I guess, I don't know. Like, it was amazing. Yeah, I guess that's what's so cool. You've got that forever, right? That instant moment. That those feelings that you get straight away. And I think I was just so, pride, like, to have an incredible team, to have done it in the 4 and then in the 2 with Alicia and then on my own, but with the team. I think, and there was just no stone unturned, like, leading into Paris. So for me, it was like, wow, I can't believe we did something that I was so, you know, that was hard to do and that was scary.
Yeah. That's the good. All right. So, like, that obviously is really good. Talking to Gordy and Bucky, actually, Gordy was like, look, if there was a Netflix sort of documentary on Lisa's, like, 3 golds, there would be some really grunty scenes in the year leading up to it. And I think perhaps at the Halberg stage and throughout the year, stress, pressure, expectation. I think from the last recording we did, I think I mentioned that it's incredible that New Zealand's greatest ever Olympian has so much self-doubt and she's not sure of herself and things like that. If you're open to talking about, you know, some of the hard times and struggles and why they were hard and where that expectation came from in that year and what it looked like.
Yeah, I guess it's really hard to kind of, I only have in my memory certain moments that seem to stand out. But I think over the year leading in, and particularly like the last kind of 3 months leading into, and I'm sure there were moments before, but it just being away for those 3 months leading into Paris, I think what kind of happened is slowly it was like creep came in. And so slowly the pressure came in, and I probably didn't realize how much pressure and expectation I'd put on myself and the team to perform. It took us a good year before or even a year and a half before we could say as a team, and we said it was just to us group, like the girls and our coaches were like, we want to win 3 gold medals. And it's like, yeah, okay. And then it took us a little while to kind of really say it and then believe it. But I think what ended up happening kind of as we got closer and closer is I was like, oh my gosh, it hit me. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I knew that, I guess, having glimpses of, you know, I guess all you end up when you're under that much pressure, suddenly I realized it just started overflowing. It was fine, and then it wasn't. And so I guess that's, you know, Bucky took a big hit and, you know, Gordy takes a big hit as well. And so I think at that point, I was really starting to think, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know that we can do it. And we said that we would do 3 gold medals, and I don't know if we can. And so I guess, you know, there's that was like this massive thing that I had to slowly work through. And it got to a point where I was like, you know what, Lisa, just wake up, make a coffee for Bucky, and then what are the good stories you're going to tell yourself today? Because all I could see was the shit stories. And it gradually, and then got to a point where when I kind of realised that I was putting a heap of pressure on Gordy and Bucky. And once, you know, like I got to understand how much pressure I was putting on them, I realised I was like, oh my gosh, it helped me by being shocked by how much that impacted them. I was like, wow, okay, Lisa, wake up. This is not cool. And from that point, this was probably about 2.5 months out, and I was like, okay, you've really got to start figuring out how to get your mind into a place that's better than this. Because it was difficult. I was just seeing shit. I was just not feeling like I was good enough. I belonged. All I would see is bad things. And so once I kind of got that outside perspective, once I could see someone else other than my own kind of struggle, I was like, oh, wow, that's not cool. Come on.
In a weird way, do things have to reach that rock bottom moment in a challenge like this for you to come out the other side?
Yeah, let me climb in on that and read. I want to read your Gordy's words because it sort of speaks to that.
Yeah.
Most people that win a gold medal will have had a period where they kind of not hit rock bottom, but you kind of have a crisis and you're like, holy fuck, what am I doing here? What am I even thinking about going to the Olympics for? And you just shit yourself. You're like a month out and you're like, whoa, and then you lose it. And most people lose it and never find it again. I wouldn't say we had quite like that, but we definitely had a period where we had to really ask ourselves, what are we here for? What do we want? Who do we want to do it with? Is this really what we want? And then by going through that, it made us really strong, and that made the difference. Like, do you think that you had to go through that to achieve what you did?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess because I guess though that's what pressure and expectation, I purposely, I chose that, and I think that's what I had to keep reminding myself. I chose this, and I knew that I needed challenge. And so of course there was going to be a point where it was like, Lisa, you chose this path because you know you've got shit to work out. Not on other people, but
I was reading that. I was like, oh, you got to shit yourself.
But yeah, and I think it was a point that, yeah, it probably did help me a lot, because it had to help, because by the time I got to Paris, I was like, who is this person that's loving every day? Like you're at, you know, the top of Mount Everest, and you're enjoying it. You're loving the work, you're loving the pressure. And I think without having, I guess, that moment or those moments leading in of, you know, I was waking up and going, man, I don't know if I can do this. This is really freaking hard. I kind of want to find a way out. But, you know, those were just honest questions that I said just to relieve a little bit of pressure. And it's like, well, Lisa, this is your choice. I'm like, that's right. Okay, so what's the first step? Make a coffee for Bucky. Connect with Gordy, connect with the girls.
Did you let the team in on those
those
really dark thoughts that you were having? Because there's a responsibility to them as well, not just to yourself.
That's right. And I think that's also what was really difficult, is that when I knew that my influence on the team, and I was really aware that when I was good, it was awesome. And then especially, and also my influence negatively affecting the team. So, and I hated that, and I couldn't hide. When I didn't feel good, I still had to turn up, and I knew that I was affecting the team negatively, and I was like, I just want to go away. But I guess that's through that, not having any choice but to kind of be there and share with the girls. It's like, this is what's going on for me. And at times it was difficult to there would be that, little, I don't know, little person inside me saying, oh, they're judging you now, Lisa, you told them. They think you're weird. Or so I think it was absolutely important, and I'd be like, look, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that. I'm really, to apologise when it mattered. But also that accepting that we're not all perfect. And if I can accept myself when I don't do the things that I like to do or share with people, it's like, well, actually, you're not here to be the most perfect person either.
Gordy suggested it might be interesting to contrast like when you were good to when you were scared. And he highlighted the World Cup in Poland. He said she was pretty scared then. And I wonder, what that means.
Yeah, I think what was amazing about those World Cup races is that they really identified how I was managing pressure and like fear and worry and what was motivating me. And I think at those races, it was like, just don't lose. And so the difference, and then we also, I don't know that, and I don't think you could expect us to be, we weren't probably operating as the best team. I probably didn't turn up in the best shape mentally and physically. We were at a stage in our training that wasn't really ready for racing. So like when you're not quite there mentally, but yet I expect to just don't want to lose, then what's driving me is just fear and worry. And so I'm really unable to focus on the task and what needs to be done. And it actually is a lot harder to enjoy the moment. Fast forward 3 months, you're like, wow, we've just moved mountains. Because
that was Bucky's observation that Paris was like the most joy he'd seen you take from a regatta.
Yeah, it was amazing, I think, and also having teammates that really love paddling, like Alicia and Olivia and Tara. I think when you get to have people that really, when you're on a buzz and then you keep building the momentum, I'm not building it on my own. We're building the momentum. So, if you're a little bit down or not down, but need a bit of a lift, there's already a momentum of the team. So I think when people work together, it's just amazing what you can get out of, take from yourself, your capability increases, and so does your mates.
Does it buzz you out that you signed Alicia's singlet when she was at Ames Games or something like that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it makes me feel so old. Yeah.
That's a great full circle moment though, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think we might have been warming down in the K2 after the race in Paris after we won. And she goes, I still remember the first time that Gordy made me paddle with you. And I was like, shh. Yeah. And so it's amazing to think that what she has, her life, I've been kind of
you've been a constant
in her journey of kayaking, and to then be able to cross the line. And Alicia's 10 years younger than me, but to be like, man, this is my mate, from this little kid that I signed her singlet to crossing the finish line first as a gold medalist. Wow, that's crazy.
She feels exactly the same way, because I was like, what's it like paddling with a legend? She's like, it's weird because she is, but she's also my mate.
Yeah.
She's like, she calls me the class clown, but she's the one who is actually the clown and just throws me under the bus. But that's a surreal workplace to go to work every day.
Yeah, and I think maybe we wonder this sometimes. It's like, do I get younger to meet them at their age, or do they come up in age? I'm like, you guys definitely don't come up in maturity.
You're dropping down.
Pump up playlist is getting younger and younger.
Is it really only 10 songs?
It gets to a point where it's less.
Yeah. Okay.
I think when you're in together and you're just I just want that song the way you feel, and you just turn it on, especially if you've only got a 15-minute car ride to the course.
Yeah.
It
5?
It gets listen. Yeah. Yep.
Gordy said 5.
Yeah, I'd go with what he says, not what we say.
For everything that we've talked about, the bond must be so tight with the four of you. since the games, do you guys like go away together, or have you spent any time like, afterwards, just the four of you?
Yeah, no, we haven't actually. Some of us have been on holiday, Liv's from Christchurch, so we haven't been able to, but like phone call, catch up, and like walks on the beach,
Do you send memes in the WhatsApp chat?
Yeah, memes go.
Do you though?
Yeah, sometimes. I guess, Alicia's good at the memes, by the way.
Puts them in the wrong one though, the one with the coaches sometimes, and has the message delete straight away.
Yeah. Oops, sorry, wrong chat.
Yeah.
I think we've all done that before.
Okay, so present day, I imagine you, after something like that, you decide I'm going to take a month or a couple of months and just relax and be myself and figure out what I want to do. Like, where are you at with it? Are you still in the decision-making process if you keep going, or have you made a decision?
Yeah, I guess I'm working through that, and I get like, it's been really interesting. Like, it's actually really hard to have done something and I've committed so much of my life to then go, oh, you've got to think about other stuff now. It's like, oh, wow, okay. So yeah, I guess I'm really aware at the moment that I have some decisions to make. So I spent a good few weeks just kind of not even caring, just doing what I wanted to do, relax. And I guess for me, I'm at a point now where I'm like, I really need to make a decision or just need to know where I want to go. And so I guess I'm kind of 80% there. And yeah, like I think it's just got to be, I'm, one of those people that I just don't want to do the wrong thing, but I guess that's all part of it. And I've got to keep reminding myself, it's like everything's uncertain. Nothing at all is certain. And I think that's something that was so cool about the games is, I really got to realize that we do it. Sport is amazing because you just don't know who's going to win, and you could be the best person. You could have the best training program. You could hand in your training diary and go, yeah, I should win. I do that really fast time in training. But really, like, we love it because we don't know. And so I think it's like leaning into that and going, well, whatever decision you make, you're not really going to know. It's all uncertain, and it's okay if it's the wrong one. Mm. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
It must be a weird double-edged sword where you finish a games and you want to relax and be off tools and you're out in public, but I imagine every second person is like, are you gonna keep going? Like, what's gonna happen? And you're just like, fucking let me just have my coffee. Like, I've been away for 4 months. I just want nice coffees for once.
Yeah.
Like, is that a weird dynamic where everybody almost seems like they've got a vested interest in what your decision is going to be?
Yeah, I guess that's like, I feel like that's just the human way. It's like, we just want to know, we need certainty to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, and it is interesting, but I think it's like, it's just human nature, eh? And I guess there's some parts, and everyone's really respectful that, fairly private about, but then there's also like an element where I can just be like, look, I'm just figuring it out. And I don't know that I'll make the right decision. But man, I guess there's heaps of, I guess it's like, rocking up and seeing a challenge and being like, man, I'm excited for this next challenge. Well,
you didn't help the guesses by, I think afterwards you said, I'm the strongest and fastest I've ever been in my life right now, so why would I? Like, that was some ominous words to your rivals as well. Like, I heard that was, I think that was in the Chang interview, like the day after, and it was kind of like, you just seem so like, there was no, I don't know what the word is, man, but you were just so comfortable with where you were at right then.
Yeah. I guess I just had to, I didn't have to prove anything anymore. And that's mainly to myself. It's like, I guess that's what's amazing is that, like, you can't design what, what every woman or every man's going to be like as a sports person. Are you going to be your best at 35, 36, 37? And I guess
42.
42, yeah.
Could be you, yeah. LA Games, here we go.
So I think it's just trying to weigh it all up and, like, figure out, and what do I want is this, and reassess. I think it's such a great opportunity for me to be like, am I doing really what I said I was going to do? Does this fit with, giving back to the world or being the best person I can be?
You probably, you must already be thinking about when you do stop, about what comes next, because the Lisa Carrington brand is just like unbelievably strong. Like there's so many opportunities to do whatever you want with it afterwards. Like, do you think about that now?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really tricky because I find it hard to go, okay, that's the brand, but Lisa's the person as well. And I guess it's like, I don't know what I can do. And I also have that element that I need to prove that, not prove, but, like if I'm going to do something, I need to do it well. And someone's not just going to give me a job just because of my name. I need to be able to have a job or be given a job because I can do it well. And so I guess there's the brand, and I've got to remind myself is that the brand is based on me being me. So it's not about the perfect person. And I guess what's cool is that the brand is just Lisa and Lisa changing and growing authentically. Yeah.
Yeah, because it seems consistent, but it has changed over the years as well.
Yeah, and I'd hope so. Like, I guess I'm lucky that I can continue to grow and change, because I'd hate to be like 80 and be grumpy.
There was something you said. There was something I heard you say about like, I think it was using training as an example, but like if you're not embarrassed by your past performances, you're not working hard enough or not training hard enough.
Yeah, that was a quote I stole from one of our coaches.
That's a great quote, because it got me thinking not of my training, but like of my past behaviors or the person that I was in the past, and like thinking back to some of that stuff and going, oh man, that is cringe. But it's like, well, no, you're not that thing anymore. You're a different version of who that was. It's really quite thought provoking.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just accepting that right now we can still be better.
Yeah.
I want to bring in Alicia's voice now, because Shay asked her about what makes you so special, and she sort of spoke about the attention to detail, which was really good. The way that she still improves year on year, it comes down to that attention to detail. And there still has been times where all of us, whether it's in the K4 or something, will get called out for going too much into the detail, because Lisa will hold boats to such a high level of excellence that sometimes we get too granular, and the coaches will pull us back out to what are the big rocks, like what is actually going to make a difference. Because we're striving so hard, sometimes the level of detail will catch us out a little bit. But it's incredible to watch. I mean, the way that it's a 24/7 job. She'll be stretching and activating at home in the mornings. She'll journal every morning before training to make sure her mind is good, and then have her routine of her morning coffee, and then every part of her day is to try and get the best out of herself. And that's not to say she doesn't have hard days, but there's like processes that are just day in, day out, day in, day out, finding the opportunity to get better. And Gordy told us, and I often think of it in relation to Lisa, it's not doing an extraordinary thing, it's doing an ordinary thing an extraordinary amount of times. And that's kind of what she does. She's obviously talented, but you can see she's got to where she is by doing that an extraordinary amount of times, like day in, day out for the last 15 years. It's phenomenal. I love that so much, and again, from the previous episode, it's that you don't miss trainings. It's day in, day out, just continuously doing the basics.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm obsessed, but maybe yeah, I think that's it though. It's just ordinary, like, and I think having done what I've done for as long as I have, I guess there's an amount of skill that you acquire that you have to kind of start going to figuring, you understand the basics, the fundamentals, to then get really granular. And it is all the small things that help. And like Alicia said, we do at times, especially in the team boat, we're trying to work something out, and it's like, okay, let's get some perspective, guys. And so I think it's just, it's really cool to hear Alicia say that. And I guess it is I don't know, it seems really boring, but I think that's kind of being routined. It's just what it takes.
Did you take that same meticulous nature to writing the book? Or was that more a free-flowing creative
tell us
process?
About the book.
Yeah. So the book, it's, I guess what was really cool is I guess it was free-flowing, and I sat down with my publisher, Huia Publishers. They're a publishing house in Wellington, and I think what was so cool is that they were just like, Lisa, we want to share your story. We want to find a way to do that. And I was like, I don't really want to write a biography or autobiography, whatever it is.
I'll just do a podcast.
I'll
do a series of I'll do a series of 3 podcasts. We're in the middle one right now.
And I was like, actually, I just want to write a kid's book. It's always something that I've wanted to do is write a kid's book, because I think maybe just having parents as teachers, the impact or what it means to be a teacher, to be someone, or a guardian of some sort. And I was like, you know what, this is going to be a really cool way to share one of my stories, one of my lessons. And so, we just sat down and kind of nutted out what it could be. And I guess, like having amazing people to kind of guide me and help me on that journey, like it was just really, I feel really lucky to be able to have that, because, I've spent a lot of time paddling, but not so much writing, obviously journaling, but kids' books. So, it was a really cool process.
But you call it a kids' book. It's a book, right? Because the lessons are applicable.
Yeah.
I know it's targeted 9 to 14, but the lessons are applicable for parents or for anybody.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess like rereading it, I'm like, man, that's right, Lisa. That's a good lesson. I guess you can, as a parent, auntie, uncle, or whoever, you can read it to your kids and just be, and it also just you take it in. And I think too, what's amazing, what I really like about it is that just the layers of lessons in there. Like there's some moments there. It's like about kind of being present in the moments and ways to do that, and then how to overcome a little challenge, ways to think, and also just some lightheartedness with my dog appearing in there. So
and Bucky's in there too? 8-year-old Bucky? I haven't seen it or read it. I've heard.
Yeah. No, he, I think when we got the illustrator, Bucky's like, where am I?
Colin's in there.
Colin's in there. Your parents, even Gordy's in there. And then so they like put him in like little dots. It was really cool.
But it's also adapted into Te Reo Māori as well.
Yeah, that's right. And it's so cool, I think. And it's just not translated directly, the way it's written is for Te Reo Māori. So that for me was really, really important, particularly with my heritage, and also just making sure that every kid in New Zealand can read this book.
And maybe the first of...
A few? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. We'll take a break and then, we'll sit back down again.
Hey, last one for me before we let you go. I just want to talk a little bit about journaling. I feel like it's something I've always wanted to do, but for whatever reason, I've never done it. But like, what does the process look like? What do you write and how does it help you?
I reckon, so journaling for me it was something I started almost like 8 years ago. And I started it because I just needed a little bit of reminder. I was away overseas in Portugal, training, and I was like, okay, like it helped me kind of make sure and almost like plan my day. So it would be like, okay, Lisa, like what's your most important list? Which would be like people, having a good conversation with a few people. It would have been making a plan. What's my challenge for the day? And these were like real, and what can I find that's joyful for the day, or what am I going to enjoy? So like it started off just being really basic, integrating the things that make me while I was away, because I was finding it tricky to be myself. I was in a hotel training, and so from there it became every morning, and because I like coffee, it was with coffee and writing down those things. And so I think over then evolved, started being a little bit more, I guess, cathartic. I'll just start talking about how I feel. But then I think I cracked it this year. Like, I really started writing things that were really meaningful and were able to help me in the day. So once I kind of, with all that pressure that I felt, and kind of got to a point this year, I started going, okay, Lisa, now what's a good story you're going to write about the day ahead? Or it really started to help me go and sift through the thoughts that I had, because there was so much pressure. It's like, okay, Lisa, what's running in behind all your thoughts, your negative, like this isn't good enough or I'm not good enough. What's actually running behind those? So it really allowed me in those tough moments to kind of comb through and sieve out what was real and what was just a story that I was telling myself to try find an excuse or make me feel bad. So, and then it's like, oh, geez, I'm actually just writing bad stuff now, Lisa. Like, what's a good story? What good story are you going to tell yourself? And so, like, I don't know that there's any method or kind of perfect way to journal. But I find it so helpful to just set an intention for the day, to be and plan. Like, planning's so important. If I don't plan, I just don't get anything done. And just making sure I do the most important things to keep me grounded.
I'd love to see the journal entry the day after you won that third gold medal. Like,
I could find it for you.
Yeah.
I think it's been really cool, actually, like reflecting on, compared to what I wrote in Tokyo. I was like, that was dumb in Tokyo. Like, this is cool stuff. Well, for me, I don't know if anyone else.
You got a journaling app that you use?
No, I don't. I started writing on like Google Drive and documents, and so I can just get to it anywhere. See, this is 4th of July, waking up feeling good. I get moments of frustration, but I guess that's just making sure I stay patient, calm, and breathe.
I reckon there's a market for you to turn this into a book, like The Diary of Lisa Carrington.
Yeah.
Dame Lisa Carrington.
We'll get there.
Be interested in today's journal entry, like trying to find the best way to talk to these two punters.
Hopefully. What has Bucky told them about me?
And I just kind of like added in little moments. Like, I sent this message to Gordy, DG and Bucky the morning of our K4. And I said, today is K4 day, big boat day. That's wicked. I feel like I'm clear and know what my priorities are today, which is to connect with the girls, and then everything will flow from there. I have developed a little process to help me, which is when I start thoughts of worry, fear, I rub my pounamu to help remind me of my identity, my whakapapa. So my pounamu is my anchor. How cool.
Shit, that's cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, cool, eh?
That's so cool.
And then that evening, what a gift today was. Tomorrow I get to go again. What a gift. We get to play again.
Thank you so much for letting us in like that little insight. I was going to ask, like, if you would be terrified if someone found that, found your thoughts, like, if they were to read them, but for you to share is like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
To have a little window into like the
mindset. It's the mindset of a champion. It's how you frame your world to set you up for success.
Yeah,
like, it's
that's
so
right.
Good.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, I mean, it was just so special to be able to, and that's what it took for the day. It was special to be able to just be like that. And so, man, it was cool.
Yeah. Do you have moments of real gratitude when you sit and think back to that time?
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
seems like a stupid question to ask for.
Yeah.
such but I mean, like, there's a thought that maybe the 8th one isn't as special as the first one, but they're all individual ones.
Oh man, no. Like, I think that's the thing when you set up the challenge. Maybe it was 3 years ago, and we're like, okay, we're gonna go again, and it's got to be different. And so, I guess you've got to set it up in a way. You don't just rock up and it happen. It's like, man, we went for it. But it starts the planning, what it took. There were moments where you're like, I don't know if we can do it, many times, but we still keep trying.
Did you get scared reading your book out live at Te Papa?
Te Papa? They were like, practice it.
Did you? I wanted to know about that.
Yeah, it was cool, but it was cool actually, like reading it. And what was amazing is that my mum, she didn't tell me, but so she spoke at the launch of the book in Wellington, and she brought like some stories that I had written as a kid. So I don't know whether it's because mum and dad are teachers, so they use that material for like their students, or they just kept it because they're my parents. But they had a few stories, and it was so cool. What I'd written was like so similar to the book. And it was like things about, even if I win, I've got to be looking, I don't rub it in the person's face, or, like it's all about making sure everyone's okay. I love the ocean. And even as a 5-year-old, it was all about the ocean. So, yeah, it was really cool. It was really special.
I'm in all these. We should make this a yearly catch-up. Can we keep
what
these
have
going?
you guys learned in the last year?
Are you going to come and say hi to us at the Halbergs this year? Next year?
Oh,
you
yeah,
come say hi on the
sure.
red carpet? Yeah, some kick-ons.
Only if there's kick-ons.
Yeah. We'll sort you out. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving us your time and sharing so much of your life and the build up to Paris. And oh man, the whole thing is just so good. Cutting edge, high performance athletes, my favorite. But Shay,
I
take us home.
I don't even know what to, like. I feel really privileged, one, that you would consider us to come back again, but also, and I'm trying to think of how to say this in a really a polite way, but it's a different version of you that is here. And I get it, because you've met us before, and maybe the first time you're probably a little bit guarded and who are these two weird guys asking me like a whole bunch of questions. But there's definitely, I feel like, an energy shift in you, and it's really amazing to see, and you radiate it. And the comfort of being able to share your journal entries, that means a lot because I'd be terrified if some of my thoughts went out there, and maybe that's a me thing that I got to work out, but you seem like you're in a really great place.
Yeah, like, I mean, I picked the good ones.
She knew it was a good entry after.
Yeah, no, like, I think definitely, I guess you write so that you can write anything you want, and I think it's without I think that's one thing about journaling. You've just got to write it like no one is ever going to read it. And so I think sometimes I wouldn't write what I needed to write to get it off my chest, get it out of my head, because I was like, well, but what if someone picks this up? So yeah, there's some stuff in there that's not great, but also like there's some awesome lessons in there for me. It's like, that's right, Lisa, you can be like that. Yeah.
No, keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome. So great to see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers,
It's cool
Lisa.
to be here.
Stoked.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Yeah, next year.